Right now it's 6. The ban on natural gas could be expanding in San Francisco. So it's the push to electrify more homes and businesses across the city.
They want their energy bills to go down. They want to get ahead of the curve when it comes to the changes that are happening in the emissions goals of the city.
How proposed rules could change major renovation projects in the city. We hear from a homeowner who's voluntarily making the switch. A mass shooting forces people to take cover at Reno's largest casino.
Once everything kind of rolled out, it was complete chaos.
Witness accounts of the attack that left 3 people dead and police searching for a motive. And it's a picturesque Marin County town with an urgent need for affordable housing.
The people who work there, the people who keep the community going, are not able to live there.
Why it's taken years to transform this former Coast Guard property, and why the ball is finally getting rolling. And later, tracking Earth's every move in unprecedented detail, from earthquakes to floods. How this mission could change the way we monitor our planet.
It can look for very small changes on the Earth's surface. It can penetrate through trees and get down to the bare Earth.
Every 12 days we get a new picture. That'll allow us to assess what happens after earthquakes and before earthquakes too.
This is CBS News Bay Area with Juliette Goodrich.
Good evening. San Francisco could be taking another major step away from natural gas toward all-electric homes and businesses. So the city has a goal of reaching net zero emissions by the year of 2040. And so far, it's been focused on banning natural gas in new construction to make it happen. But this afternoon, a rally was held at City Hall to support a new proposal that would expand on that to include homes and businesses going through major renovations.
Our solutions to the climate crisis are not just effective in reducing carbon emissions citywide, but also equitable in considering that moving towards zero emissions means prioritizing the health of communities that are disproportionately affected by gas appliance emissions.
Our Kara St. Cyr tagged along with a contractor who's already seeing more homeowners willing to make the switch to electric.
Hey, Garen.
Yeah.
Hey, it's Justin with Ace.
Ace, cool.
I just want to call, let you know I'm on my way.
Justin Spillman is seeing San Francisco's push for fewer gas appliances in real time.
So they want a quote on replacing their existing gas water heater.
He's a contractor with Ace Plumbing in Rooter. He's getting more calls about converting gas heaters to electric ones.
They want their energy bills to go down. They want to get ahead of the curve when it comes to the changes that are happening in the emissions goals of the city.
Back in 2020, San Francisco adopted an ordinance that bans natural gas in new builds, an effort to reduce greenhouse emissions. Now the city wants to update the ordinance to include large-scale renovations, meaning people like Justin's client, Garen Checkley.
Hey, Garen. Hi. Justin.
Who are remodeling homes and businesses.
So the water heater's in here?
Would have to convert to electricity for heating and cooling, water heating, and cooking.
I mean, we know that we over time want to electrify our house for environmental and climate reasons, for health and safety reasons. It's especially true for the gas stove that we have inside. We've been reading all the studies.
The amendment would apply to wall and ceiling renovations and remodels covering 2/3 of the building.
There's a lot of reason to get natural gas out of our buildings.
Board of Supervisors President Raphael Mandelman, who's behind the push, says this next step is necessary for a greener San Francisco.
We can't say that every conversion of a building is or every major retrofit is going to involve that building going all electric, but it's pushing in that direction.
Back at the House, Garen says the only drawback to the amendment is the price tag. Even with state and federal rebates, Garen says he'll pay thousands for this update.
I'm a supporter of the efforts to electrify our city. What I would also like to see is state and city changes that make it more efficient and cheaper.
But for now, both Garen and Justin are content to get going on this change.
So Berkeley was the first city in the country to pass an all-electric requirement for new buildings in 2019, but it repealed its natural gas ban last year after the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals ruled it was preempted by federal law that sets standards for most gas appliances. San Francisco amended its all-electric requirement for new construction to include an exception for those appliances that are covered under the Energy Policy and Conversion Act. That also applies to the new proposal for major renovations. There are also exemptions for affordable housing and buildings with an area for commercial food services. All right, meantime, curbs around the city, they're getting a makeover. Look at that, to comply with a new state safety law. So it's called the daylighting law. It bans parking within 20 feet of a crosswalk. It's a potentially dangerous blind spot where cars parked there can block a driver's view of pedestrians. The change comes after San Francisco saw its deadliest year in decades for pedestrians in 2024. One member of Walk SF says these restricted zones will improve safety for both drivers and pedestrians.
The data on this is incredible. Daylighting reduces crashes by up to about 30%. So that's 1 in 3 fewer crashes on our street, which we know is so important right now, especially as we face just such dangerous streets.
Curbs will be spray painted red with the SFMTA logo at around 15,000 intersections. The city has been giving out warnings instead of tickets until the painting is expected to be complete by the end of the year. All right, we are learning new information about a Delta co-pilot arrested this weekend on a plane that just arrived at SFO. Sarah Donchie is following all the details on the arrest that happened in front of passengers.
Yeah, Juliet, you can imagine how confusing the situation was for everyone in the moment. So a passenger in first class on that flight told us the plane from Minneapolis had just pulled into the gate on Saturday night when all of a sudden several law enforcement officers got on board, walked down the aisle, stormed the cockpit, and then led the co-pilot off the plane in handcuffs. The Contra Costa County Sheriff's Office said today they arrested 34-year-old Rustam Bogwagger on allegations of sex crimes against a child. They say this is the result of an investigation that started in April. Detectives learned that he was due to fly into SFO and they got an arrest warrant for him. With the help of Homeland Security investigations, they arrested him. The Contra Costa Sheriff's Department tells us the alleged crime happened in Contra Costa County. The man used to live in San Ramon. We spoke to a former neighbor of his today.
It's terrible. Yeah, it's terrible. I had no idea. I walk every day around and sometimes I see him and sometimes he waves.
Delta Airlines released a statement after the arrest saying that they are, quote, appalled by reports of the charges and that the pilot has been suspended pending an investigation. The suspect is from Florida and was booked into the Martinez detention facility. The sheriff's office says that the victim is under the age of 10, which is obviously, Juliet, an incredibly, incredibly disturbing allegation.
Yeah. All right, Sarah, thank you so much. We want to get to some breaking news now in New York City. An NYPD officer has been shot and killed in Midtown Manhattan. Law enforcement sources telling CBS News another officer was injured and at least 2 civilians were hurt, one critically. The suspect died of a self-inflicted gunshot wound. Sources say the shooter walked into a skyscraper on Park Avenue and East 52nd Street with an AR-style weapon, opened fire on the 33rd floor. The building was put on lockdown. There is a massive police presence in the area. We will certainly stay on top of this. Also developing, 3 people have died following a shooting at a casino in Reno. Happened outside the Grand Sierra Casino Resort around 7:30 this morning. Police say a man walked up to a group of people near the valet parking area, pointing a gun that initially malfunctioned. He was able to get the gun to fire, then fled on foot in the parking lot. That's where there was a shootout with a security guard. Police say they arrived on scene in minutes and shot the suspect, who is now in critical condition.
I see ourselves as victims of this. Yeah, maybe not directly by being wounded, but definitely my children were crying. My wife was distraught. I think everybody in there definitely feared for their life.
2 people are hospitalized in critical condition. The Washoe County Sheriff's Office and the nearby Sparks Police Department are taking over this investigation. All right, we bring it back here to the Bay Area. Housing advocates often say the solution to homelessness is to build more homes, but that isn't an easy task in some of the Bay Area's smaller rural communities, particularly the picturesque town of Point Reyes Station in West Marin County. That is where there is an urgent need for housing, but Plans to transform old Coast Guard property have been slow to get off the ground. John Reyes shows us how it's highlighting an even larger problem.
In Point Reyes, the opportunities for affordable housing are few and far between. So there's a lot of excitement about the prospect of this old Coast Guard housing being made available soon. But just because the need is urgent doesn't mean the system is working quickly to make it happen. There are no high-rise affordable housing complexes in Point Reyes, and no one is stepping forward to build one.
But the fact is that the people who work there, the people who keep the community going, are not able to live there. And so we're talking about a much smaller number of units, but we really need to get units in these locations.
Sarah Jones is the Community Development Director for Marin County. In March, supervisors declared a housing emergency for the area.
We have known that there is a need for affordable housing in this area for a long time, but the urgency, the focus on it has increased significantly over the past year.
That's because next year a lawsuit settlement will kick in, closing the cattle ranches and turning about 100 workers out onto the streets. The workers and their advocates appealed to the board for help, and among them was Mark Switzer, for whom it was a matter of conscience.
I am a landowner, and I have been an entitled, complacent resident of Point Reyes Station. I'm ashamed and appalled.
But no one from the landed gentry was there to say, I've been so goddamn, excuse me, so complacent about this. And that's the truth. Is that we live here, the sun shines, all's good, but it's not.
There is actually good news for Point Reyes. This former Coast Guard housing has just cleared a regulatory hurdle to be turned into affordable housing. But there hasn't been a lot of urgency in the process. The county purchased the land from the federal government clear back in 2018, but so far nothing has been built or renovated. The problem is the complex has no septic system for wastewater. That and other problems have made progress on the project slow going.
Well, I think that sense of the community is frustration and confusion of why it's so difficult.
Yeah, certainly moving along slowly, wouldn't you say?
Or not at all.
Or not at all. I mean, we see no change down here.
The fact is, nobody is doing anything wrong here. The county and its partners are following the rules, all of them well-intended, and all of them acting as a roadblock to getting anything done.
Whether it's asbestos or lead paint or whatever it was.
But do you think those things matter to someone who's out on the street, living in a tent?
They don't. You're right. They don't. The layers of complications, regulations, are you can rationalize any one of them, but we're not prepared to say this has got to change. We've got to make this work. We have to start over in our thinking.
This piece about affordable housing has been neglected for far too long there, by all of us together. And there is very shared understanding how important this is to address.
Everyone agrees that it's taken too long, just as they agree about the severity of the problem. But so far, the process has been by the book, rather than as a matter of conscience.
Now that the project has been cleared of environmental impacts, it can begin the funding process, which the county says is the most difficult hurdle to overcome. Still ahead, right here at 6, a collaboration between NASA and India is about to launch the satellite that can track the Earth's changing surface like never before.
I think all the data for surface change, whether it's used for climate understanding or disaster response or helping our farmers, it's all going to be useful.
Best news ever here. 49ers quarterback Brock Purdy just became a girl dad. We have details on his new bundle of joy when we come back. It's a sophisticated eye on our planet. A satellite set to launch this week will allow scientists to observe changes to the Earth in more detail than ever before, from earthquakes to floods and even changes to farmland. The $1.5 billion satellite is a joint mission between NASA and India's space agency. Brian Hackney shows us why it's so significant.
We may be trying to save the Earth.
This is the trace of the Hayward Fault.
The Earth isn't exactly trying to save us. It pays to keep an eye on the planet, and the NISAR Satellite will be watching every move the Earth makes. Quite literally.
Jesus Christ, look at that.
Oh, I just felt an earthquake.
Volcanic deformation, tectonic plate motion, land subsidence, as you see here, and anything that's moving at the scale of a centimeter or so.
The satellite's radar that will do all this was assembled at JPL, where Wendy Edelstein is the deputy project manager for NISAR.
It uses a technique called radar interferometry. It can look for very small changes on the Earth's surface. It can penetrate through trees and get down to the bare Earth.
For instance, when water's pumped from underground aquifers, NISAR will be watching from an orbital altitude of 460 miles.
This animation is over the Central Valley of California, and we can see feet worth of subsidence due to groundwater withdrawal in this area.
It doesn't have one user. It has a whole variety of users.
I plan to use it to look at creep for sure, particularly in Northern California, the Bay Area.
Katherine Guns and her colleagues at USGS definitely need boots on the ground.
Let's go find the fault.
They'll also now have eyes in the sky with near real-time ground motion coverage.
This thing is not just taking a snapshot once every 5, 10, 20 years. This is in continuous operation, right?
Yes, absolutely. That's what's really most exciting to me as a scientist who uses this kind of data.
Thank you.
Every 12 days, we get a new picture. That'll allow us to assess what happens after earthquakes and before earthquakes, too, so we can see what's going on all the time.
And I don't want to put you on the spot, but the question has to be asked. NASA has been under some pressure not to be forthcoming with the release of climate data. Are we going to be able to see the data from NISAR?
Well, I focus on the science aspects of it, and I think all the data for surface change, whether it's used for climate understanding or disaster response or helping our farmers, it's all going to be useful.
It's also NASA's first collaboration on a satellite with India.
And this is lifting off in India.
All recorders too fast.
It's lifting off in Sriharikota, which is the east coast of southern India, on July 30th.
So keep an eye on that, because when it goes up, it'll certainly be keeping an eye on us.
Good show.
The launch was scheduled to happen last year, but it was postponed due to technical difficulties. It's now scheduled to launch on Wednesday.
Well, it has been well above average all across the Bay Area today. It's not been that way for the past week, though. It's been chilly. It has been gloomy, but there are changes, and you probably noticed that just stepping out this afternoon. I'll let you know how much warmer it's going to get and when coming up in just a bit. Happy Monday, kicking off the work week on a much warmer note than what we were feeling yesterday. In just the past week or so, we have been feeling well wetter than what we normally do. The month of July is normally our wettest month of the year, but we picked up rainfall, measurable rainfall, 5 days over the past week. That puts us at our wettest July week ever recorded and tied with 2022 for the most rainy days throughout the entire month of July at 5. And if we pick up any measurable rainfall tomorrow morning, which we might with a good amount of fog out there, we'll be seeing our rainiest July on record. Yes, we haven't seen a lot of rain, 0.08 inches, but that's well above the 0.01 that we normally see throughout the entire month of July. And again, that was just over the past week. Today, though, you definitely notice there are some changes. Drier air has worked its way in. There's been plenty of sunshine out there. No longer seeing that little finger of fog making its way through the Golden Gate. You can actually see a beautiful sunset behind the Golden Gate tonight. It is a nice change of pace. So if you want to head out to the Pirates versus Giants game, those temperatures quickly cooling down to the upper 50s by the end of the game. But overall, it is going to be a relatively nice evening out there. For any outdoor plans, all you have to grab is that light jacket because we are going to be seeing those temperatures cooling down, even though they are well above what we were feeling yesterday at this time. Yesterday, We are still sitting in the 70s across our inland communities today. We're in the mid to upper 80s. That's about 5 to nearly 10 degrees warmer than 24 hours ago, while our coastal communities anywhere from 2 to 4 degrees warmer than yesterday at this time. Still warmer, though, as again, drier air and a bit of a pattern change is making its way in across the Bay Area. The reason is because all of this sunshine out there, and you can see all of that sunshine other than a little bit of that fog that's still sitting directly along our peninsula communities along the coast. But other than that, compared to the past week or so, it has definitely been a lot nicer this afternoon. Overnight tonight, we'll be seeing that fog and that cloud coverage returning and then peeling back to the coast. And we might be seeing a little bit more cloud coverage tomorrow afternoon compared to today, as there is going to be a storm system that's going to be making its way over the Bay Area late Tuesday and into Wednesday. It's not going to cool us down all too much. We're still going to be seeing those high temperatures tomorrow, very similar to today, in the upper 80s to low 90s across our inland East Bay communities and into the Santa Clara Valley. Mid to upper 70s for areas by the bay, and then directly along the coast, we're going to be sitting in the 60s. It really depends on location, but those microclimates continue to be in full force for this time of year. By tomorrow, we will be cooling down a degree or two across our inland communities, no longer seeing those low 90s or upper 80s. We'll be in the low 80s to upper 70s, as like I said, that storm system is going to be making its way overhead. It's not going to be a huge, impactful storm system, just going to be bringing down our temperatures a degree or two by the time that we step out Wednesday. Wednesday, the cooler day of this upcoming week, but it's just going to be a couple of degrees cooler than what we're feeling on Tuesday. Warming back up by Thursday, and then by Friday and into Saturday, that's when an area of high pressure will begin to build overhead. And as many of you know, high pressure brings warmer weather, and likely by the first full week of August, we'll be seeing those widespread 90s returning to the forecast, likely going to be above average by the time that we step out into the first full week of August. Until then, though, let's enjoy the comfortable heat while we can. Back to you.
Amazing. Thanks so much. Okay, Niners quarterback Brock Purdy missed training camp Friday for a very good reason. A look at his new sweet addition when we come back. So today marked the first practice in pads for the 49ers as training camp starts to ramp up. So here's Brock Purdy. He's getting loose. We're going to have more on the quarterback in just a sec. But as if this guy couldn't look any more intimidating, here's a first look at rookie defensive lineman Alfred Collins with pads on. The Niners have him listed at 6'5" and over 330 pounds. Collins was a second-round draft pick by the Niners in April. Okay, back to Purdy now, though. Look at this. He has more to celebrate than just his $265 million contract he signed in the offseason. He and his wife, Jenna, announced the birth of their first child, a baby girl, Millie Jolene Purdy. Jenna Purdy posted on Instagram saying, "Life just became a whole lot sweeter." Isn't that the truth? Congratulations. CBS Evening News is next. Local news at 7 o'clock. We'll see you then.